Hello, everyone. Welcome in to CUTV and CUTV Sports 1 for another edition of Forechecking. This is number 4 on the season for the 2021 season. I'm TK, as always. Joining us today, Scotty, Johnny, Doug, and Peyton. Nolan Beislein will be back shortly. He was in his dorm room when the fire alarm went off, so he will be back. They have to evacuate their dorm and come back. So whenever he gets back, he'll join in. But for now, we got the 5 of us ready to cover another 2-week span of hockey here and just what happened last week. We have a whole span of our pick'ems already completed, so we'll get into those a little later as well. But to recap the week, let's start off. Whoever wants to join in, talk a little bit about what they saw this past 2 weeks, and we'll go from there. So whoever would like to start.
Just to start, the Penguins are starting to play better. They're starting to look a lot better. Brian Dumoulin and Marcus Patterson are both healthy, and that's really improved the offense because the defense are able to get up in the rush and help the offense score some goals. We saw Kasperi Kapanen have a couple really good games, and Jared McCann kept doing his thing until he got injured again. Being the best 5-on-5 producer on the roster, even though people say that he's trade bait. But the Penguins have been rolling. The Maple Leafs have kept rolling. And once we get to our trade rumor segment, boys, we're gonna get interesting because I got a couple.
I know I saw a couple online as well. Well, that'll definitely be an interesting segment as we get in later in the show. Anybody else on the recap before we jump into the standings?
Real quick, one of the longest streaks has finally come to an end. Jeff Skinner actually scored a goal. I think it was a couple of days ago. He finally managed to put the puck in the back of the net, get the biscuit in the basket. Good for him. Finally, glad to see that $9 million contract is paying off. So happy for the guy. It's about time.
Isn't he one of the highest paid players in the NHL?
Yes, I think with him, I saw someone was him, between him, Eichel, and Taylor Hall. I think it's a combined $27 million.
That's ridiculous.
They have 4 or 5 goals on the season. So.
Oh my god.
Yeah. He's probably been the worst, highest paid player of the season so far.
I want to say he was the 9th highest paid player in the league or something like that. I don't know if that's true, but I thought I read something like that. I just think that's so funny.
Yeah, it's up there. It's close because you got to think McDavid makes 12. Matthews and Marner each make close to 11, and then Draisaitl's making 9.5. So he's up there. Also, fun fact, I don't know if you guys know who Tobias Reeder is, but Tobias Reeder has more goals than Hall, Skinner, and Eichel combined, and that is terrifying.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Oh
he's the reason why the Oilers missed the playoffs a couple of years ago, or at least that's what their owner said.
I know they were we need more goals from Toby Reeder.
It could have been cool if Tobias Reeder stepped up. Guy's a 4th liner, and he's he could have scored a little bit more. That was the reason why they didn't make the playoffs last year. Horrible. Oh yeah, one more too. Jordan Bennington, what a beast! Just absolutely not caring at all. Just going after every shark. Whenever he had that, whenever he got pulled a couple, I forget how long ago it was, but just going back.
You mean the game from 2 nights ago?
That was the one against the Sharks. Whenever he
yeah, that's who they're playing right now. Oh,
they lost last night to him too.
Oh, I was referring to the game a couple of weeks back.
Okay.
Oh wait, you talking about the one where he was literally trying to take everybody out?
Yeah. Yeah. It reminded me of, I saw it on Twitter. Reminded me of that video where the guys at the kid's birthday party, he just slaps everybody.
Hold on, if we're going to talk about that, did anybody see the fight between the Sharks and the Blues last night?
No.
Yeah.
It was a solid battle. It was Garland, and then I can't even think who it was.
Was it Clifford and Gabriel or something?
Yeah,
Clifford and Curtis Gabriel.
Yeah, this thing was definitely one of my top 5 fights of the season so far. We've had some decent fights so far.
Yeah, you know what else was a good fight? Whenever Gabriel fought Revo.
That's what I was just saying. Yeah, that.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was a really, really good one. And gotta say, props to Jordan Binnington for trying to fight the entire Sharks team with Devin Dubnyk and net, because he's just as crazy as anyone in the league. So
Yep.
wild on his end.
All right, absolutely. Let's jump into our standings then for the four of them that we do have for the divisions. Let's start off with the Scotia North. So I will pull those up here real quick and go over those. Of course, as we always talked about, starting off the top is the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, does that really ever change for the Scotia North? Toronto in first with Edmonton in second, Winnipeg third, Montreal in four, Vancouver and Calgary at the 5 and 6, and Ottawa still hanging down there at the 7. They cannot get things going and moving it upward to get any further up those charts than they are right now. So sending it over for the Scotia North, that is Doug's division. So Doug, take it away.
The Maple Leafs are just continuing to run away with this division. I couldn't be happier. I said last show about how the parallels are there between whenever Crosby and Malkin first started playing good and now how Matthews and Marner are playing. And I think that at the trade deadline, they're going to be able to make a splash. I think that they're going to do the Marian Hossa-esque thing and trade for Taylor Hall. Because why not? You could probably clear out Alexander Kerfoot in the trade. Garrett is somebody that you don't need to protect an expansion and just have Hall for the rest of the year. But the big thing is the Canadians. They've had a lot going on. They've fired like most of their coaching staff. I know that Dominique Ducharme is now their head coach, somebody who I had no idea even existed, let alone had a chance to get a coaching job in the league. And I think a lot of this pretty much falls on the shoulders of Carey Price, and Carey Price being average. And I think we're getting to a point now where you need to see Jake Allen start getting the net more, try and get like a 1A, 1B thing going, trying to get a spark going with that roster, because it's a really good young roster. And, just try and keep them going because they're very close and they should be a playoff lock. But with the way they're playing right now, one of these bottom two teams between Vancouver and Calgary might end up slipping in. But other than that, everything's been pretty normal. It's good to see that the Oilers are also in contention too. I feel like the league's a better place whenever Connor's able to get into the playoffs and show the world what he can do. And when I say get in the playoffs, I mean not be rewarded with like a giant bubble like system where everybody makes the playoffs. So I think that's where we're at. The Leafs are running away with it, and I think it's only going to get worse in that division once they make a big trade.
Awesome. I like it. All right, let's jump into the next one and get back to gallery view here so we can see everyone. There we go. And I hit the wrong button, but that's okay. All right, let's move on to the Discover Central division. And this one goes to Peyton, but let's go ahead and give the rundown first. Let's take it away. This one was changed up a lot throughout the week, but kind of when you get back to right before today, that's kind of all back to where it was 2 weeks ago when we did the show. Tampa Bay up in first place, the defending Stanley Cup champions. The Carolina Hurricanes at the 2. The Florida Panthers still up there, but not as high as they were. They were at a 1 within that 2 week span, within his past 2 week span. They're at 3 right now. Chicago at the 4. Columbus and Nashville 5 and 6. Dallas up 1 spot to the 7. They were in the 8 throughout the week, and Detroit back down there in last at the number 8 spot. So Dallas still making a little bit of a run here. A little bit of controversy going on with Dallas right now, but I'm sure we'll get to that a little bit later, maybe. We'll see how that goes. But Peyton, we're going to throw this one over to you, and you have the Discover Central, so take it away.
All right. So when I look at this division, I have the standings right here on my phone. I'm not really surprised at the standings at all. I think everyone's where they need to be. There's no like outliers. I think that this division is perfect the way it is. Like you mentioned, you have the defending Stanley Cup champions and the Tampa Bay Lightning are at first, 36 points. Carolina 35. They're starting to get really solid goaltending, so they've been able to keep a playoff spot and also stay pretty high with the second seed. Florida has just been shocking everybody, but now it's starting to become a habit that this is not a fluke season. They're here to make a playoff push and they're here to stay. I don't believe they've dipped past, they haven't dipped out of the playoff range, I think, since the season has started. So good on them. And, my Chicago Blackhawks, they're still They're still fighting away. They're in the playoffs right now, with 31 points. And then you got Columbus. There's a little bit of there's a difference between Chicago and Columbus. Chicago has 31 points, and then Columbus has 25. So there's definitely a gap there. And then from that 25, it just keeps getting worse with Nashville, then Dallas, and Detroit. We don't talk about them. But like I said, I think everyone's where they deserve to be. Detroit's rebuilding. Dallas is Dallas. Nashville is Nashville. They're rebuilding, and it's a train wreck over in Nashville. Columbus, I feel like ever since they got Line, they just hasn't been what everyone thought they would be. Yeah, that's about it though. There's not too much to discuss about the Central other than that.
All right, sounds good. Let's jump back to gallery view here, and rejoining us now is Nolan Beisline. Nolan, what happened with the fire alarm there, bud?
Yeah, I think either somebody set it off or it was just a drill, but everything's okay back in the rooms, and glad to be able to get back on the show with you guys.
Awesome. All right, let's jump into the next division here and go through it. The next one, I believe, is the Mass Mutual East, or it might be the Honda West, if I can exit the full screen here and figure it out. All right, it will be the Mass Mutual East. So here we go with the divisions on this one. Take a look at the standings. This one has definitely changed up a little bit. So let's take a look. The New York Islanders are now up to first place in the division, above the Washington Capitals in second. Sorry, Nolan, they dropped down a little bit. The Boston Bruins are in third. The Pittsburgh Penguins in fourth. The Philadelphia Flyers taking a big jump down off the cliff to fifth place. New York Rangers in sixth. New Jersey in seven, and Buffalo, as you said, still can't get anything going at number 8. So let's shoot it over. Scotty, this one is yours. Take it away with the Mass Mutual East.
So in our last episode, I stressed on how I thought the top 3 teams in the division were going to be a mixture of Boston, Washington, and Philadelphia. And over the past 2 weeks, the Islanders essentially told me to hold their drink. A 5-game winning streak will do that. Now they've leapfrog to the top of the division, and good for them. They're starting to really click on all cylinders right now. Matt Barzal had a beauty of a goal against the Sabres a couple weeks back, or a couple of days ago, actually, I should say. So kudos to him. Yeah, Washington and Boston continue to do their things. Pittsburgh, as we talked about earlier, they're starting to get some guys back from injury. Obviously, getting Dumoulin and Patterson back has been a huge addition for that team. So now, hopefully, things will continue to work out for them, and they can hold on to that playoff spot. Philly, I feel like they're just, Carter Hart's kind of fallen on hard times as of late, but, we'll see how that all works out. So we'll see how that thing plays out, of course. Rangers are still trying to recover right now. I will give Alexis Lafreniere credit because I was pretty tough on him in the last episode. He started to pick up his play as of late, so glad to see that. Jersey is Jersey, and, Buffalo, man, I didn't think things could get much worse, and they've gotten exponentially worse. When we talk about how just how badly things have gone there, as I mentioned earlier, Jeff Skinner scoring his first goal in a year. That's not good at all. The coaching staff, Ralph Kruger, doesn't seem to be on the same page with the players for whatever reason. I think Jack Eichel missed a game, and he said, "Oh, Jack's hurt," and Jack's like, "No, I wasn't hurt." So they seem like they're not really clicking as of right now. And just looking at what Kevin Adams has been saying, he's basically looking at this team and saying, "Okay, you know what? We are exploring all options." I am expecting those Buffalo Sabres to be total sellers during the trade deadline whenever it comes around. I wouldn't expect to see Taylor Hall here, obviously. Eric Stahl's another name that's been brought up that's probably going to get shipped around. Sam Reinhart was another name that recently came up, so we'll see how that goes. But as far as that's all concerned, yeah, Mass Mutual East is definitely starting to see some shakeups, so it's hard to make a prediction right now given how things have been.
All right, sounds good. And let's finish out the last one here and jump over to the big one. The Honda West. Johnny's going to take this one here. So let's go over to it and take a look at those standings. Vegas has been on a hot streak. They're still in first place despite the loss last night to the Minnesota Wild, who have also been on a little bit of a roll. St. Louis Blues in second. As we just said, the Minnesota Wild up to third place now. What a little run they're on. The Colorado Avalanche down to 4 after the loss last night to the Arizona Coyotes, who stick in 5th place. The LA Kings in 6th, Anaheim in 7th, and San Jose Sharks down to the bottom in 8th place. Johnny, this one is yours. Take it away for the Honda West Division.
What can you say, TK, about this division? They've been on quite the little run lately. Vegas doing their thing out there. Marc-Andre Fleury's been playing out of his mind. And St. Louis Blues, that's another team that's been up and down on lately. And then we were talking about it earlier about Jordan Binghamton and the psycho goalie for the Blues. Was trying to fight the entire team not too long ago when he was in San Jose. But once again, they're still making themselves a contender out there. Minnesota, and I believe they're on like a 3-game winning streak right now. And have done some things that was putting them in a good spot right now. Your Colorado Avalanche, bitten by the injury bug a little bit here and there. Aaron set back because of COVID a few weeks ago. Well, I think it was the last time we did the show. They were just making up some games recently. The Arizona Coyotes. I still riding that bandwagon to see if they can make the playoffs and do something. And they're also looking good. Had a couple guys coming back from injury as well. The LA Kings, what can you say about it? A lot of guys on that roster, I think we're going to see a lot of their names retire or go free agent this year. The Anaheim Ducks struggling to find a way to make things work. Same with the San Jose Sharks, but I'm expecting to see that division to make some shakeups here too. Who I wouldn't be surprised to see St. Louis, Vegas, Minnesota, and pretty much anybody that's from 1 to 5 making a couple of moves here at the deadline, and just so they can start making that playoff push.
All right. I like it for sure. All right, now let's jump over. We got through all the division standings here, and we're ready to take on one of the favorite parts of the show, and that is our pick'ems. So we're going to, first off, before we get into our next 8 games over the next 2-week span, we're going to take a look at our standings. So this was all pretty much tied up, and we kind of looked last night. And last night after the Arizona and Colorado game, we had a little bit of a shakeup there in the standings. So let's go ahead and take a look at that right now. And here we go. Our producer, Gary Smith, takes the number 1 spot through 2 weeks at 6 wins, 2 losses. Peyton and Nolan at the 2 and 3, basically tied for 2 there with 5 and 3 on their record, just 1 game behind Gary Smith. Our puppy Ella and Johnny, you are 4 and 4. Johnny, you had a rough start there at 0 and 4 and somehow pulled off the 4-game win streak to get up there from last place to 5th, all because of last night's game with the win from Arizona. Myself, Ash, Doug, and Scotty, we're all tied there at 3 and 5. So this should be a definitely close matchup there for going into this next week's 2-week span to see if we can break a little bit of a ties there in all those division standings. But let's go ahead and take a look at the first game we have for the next 2-week span. And these games will be from March 10th through March 24th. So that will begin tomorrow night. But the first game actually not beginning until the 11th. So Thursday, the 11th. We lost Peyton. Now there he comes back. Okay. What happened there, Peyton?
I don't know. It just kind of kicked me. Like everyone was frozen, and then like it just it just kicked me off.
It's all good. Don't worry about it.
That CalNet getting you, buddy.
We love CalNet. Oh my gosh, we love it so much.
All right, jumping into
We're back on campus.
Yeah. Jumping into the first game here of the next 2-week span, we'll start off with a good one. The Washington Capitals at the Philadelphia Flyers. And this one, pretty much a split panel as well. We are 5-4, 5 for the Capitals, 4 for the Flyers. It is Doug, Johnny, Peyton, and our puppy Ella taking the Flyers. So any comments want to be made that think the Flyers can take the Capitals down this week, especially since they had a couple losses there to the Pens here and there over the past little span?
Oh no, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Doug.
No, you go, Peyton.
Okay, sorry. I went with the Flyers personally, but whoever. I mean, this is just going to be a good game. Washington versus Philly. It's always going to be a good game. Rivals. So whatever happens, it's going to be a great game. But I went with the Flyers, even though they've been on a little skid. I still think that they really do have a good group down there. So I think that'll be enough to overpower Washington. That's all I was going to say.
Okay, Doug, go ahead. You want to say something?
Basically the same thing. I think that the couple losses they had to the Pens were an outlier. Carter Hart played really, really bad in those couple of games, and they played really good in that game where the Pens went up 3-0 really quick, and then lost somehow. But yeah, I think the Flyers are going to be okay. I think that they're in a lot better shape than Washington is, just as a whole. And the thing that we got to keep in mind with these teams in this East Division is the standings are going to be jaded big time in terms of like what a team actually is and how well they're performing, because each team's going to have 16 games against the Sabres and the Devils, who are both god awful. So I don't know. It's going to be a back and forth matchup. It's going to be a good game to watch.
All right. I like it indeed. So let's go ahead and jump over to the next game. Like I said, that one was pretty split. So let's take a look at the next one here. This one, a little bit different than all the other ones. And so we'll jump to that one now. And only one person taking the opposing team. So it is the Vegas Golden Knights at the St. Louis Blues. And everyone siding with the dominant Vegas Golden Knights, except for our producer, Gary Smith, who somehow thinks the Blues are going to pull it off. So, I mean, it's possible. Gary is not here to make a statement on why he thinks the Blues will make that run. But anybody who wants to make a statement for Vegas, go for it.
I mean, you want to go ahead, Doug?
I think it's just simple. Fleury's been unreal. Absolutely ridiculous. First time in his career that he's actually putting up like top 5 goalie in the league numbers, and good for him.
I mean, and what can you say about Vegas? They have the complete package out there. You have 4 solid lines. You got I'll say 3.5, because that fourth line's hit or miss depending on the day. But you can also look at the guys they have back there. They're on defense as well. Oh, and it's just like I said, they're just playing solid hockey all around. And again, Fleury's just right now being an absolute beast in net for him. So,
all right, I like it. All right, so everybody, like I said, everybody taking Vegas except for Gary. So we'll see if Gary's right and beat us on that one, but you never know. All right, next game, shooting it over. Let's take a look, and it is Montreal versus Calgary. Let's take a look at that one right now. All right, so only 3 people taking the Canadians in that one. Everybody else siding with the Calgary Flames. Johnny, Peyton, and myself for the Montreal Canadiens. Peyton or Johnny, any statement on why you think the Habs will beat the Flames here?
I personally, I love the Canadians right now. I think they're a nice young team. They got a lot of prospects, and I mean, they're just a young team. I just, I mean, there's really not much to say. It's just like, I just like the group that they have over there. I think that the youth that they have in that lineup is going to be good for the Canadians, especially against Calgary. They're a little bit better than them in the standings, but it's hockey, so it doesn't really matter about the standings. But I don't know. I just like the Canadians this season. I feel like they're that win against the Pens last season in the playoffs, like that's really been pushing them and saying like we can do this. We're not the best team, but we can put up a fight. So I don't know. I like that about the Canadians.
That was the last game I picked for this week's standings. I picked everybody else, and it took me a while to kind of decide who I wanted on that one, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game regardless.
Yeah, well, I mean, what can you say? Both teams have some entertaining players to watch on there. You got Johnny Hockey over there in Calgary, and you got a bunch of different names in Montreal right now. But I was more intrigued about how Carey Price has been playing lately. He's either a real hot or he falls flat on his face. And he's been playing some decent hockey in recent days. Calgary's just been struggling out there. So that was the reason I went with Montreal.
All right. I like it. Let's move on to the next game here. This will be game 4. And this one includes the Pittsburgh Penguins, the home team that everybody enjoys here. But not too many people going ahead and taking the Penguins in this one. I was surprised. I thought, a lot of you go ahead and take the Penguins pretty much no matter what, but it was a shocker. Not everybody took them as I expected. Only 3 people going with the Penguins in this one as they're taking on Boston on Monday the 15th. Johnny, Gary, and our puppy Ella are going with the Penguins. Everybody else taking Boston. And the Boston Bruins just such a strong team. And I mean, the Penguins, they have their ups and downs. So anybody who wants to make a statement on this game?
Yeah, I mean, I'll hop in here quick. I think for the Bruins, they're just kind of rolling at the moment. I mean, saw past night they beat the Capitals 5-1, which painful to watch. But I mean, they're just kind of rolling at the moment. I think the Penguins sure are on a little bit of a hot streak, but Boston always comes out and seems to have that high fire-powering offense each and every night. And I just think that's what's going to power them through this game, honestly. I think it'll be close till the end, but I think Boston's going to come out on top.
All right. I like the sound of that. Let's move on to the next one here. This one will be a game that I've seen a couple times already through this 2-week span, but it's going to happen again. And all of us could be wrong because there is not a single person took the opposing team. It is Chicago versus Tampa Bay on March 18th. And every single one of us took the Tampa Bay Lightning, but we did see over this past 2-week span the Tampa Bay took a loss to Chicago in this one. So we could all be wrong. We could all be right. It all depends. So anybody want to make a case on this game?
I have a feeling we might end up getting burned on this one.
I thought so too.
Just simply because I've come to notice that how the Blackhawks always get those random people who end up being like incredible for them.
Yes.
They have that, but at goalie with Kevin Lankinen. I have no idea who the hell he is, but he's doing really good. Has a chance to win the Calder Trophy this year. It's probably going to be between him, Capo Kakinen, the goalie in Minnesota, and Kirill Kaprizov, the phenom for the Wild, who is like not even probably should be playing for the Wild. But yeah. I think that we might end up getting burned on this one. It seems like a trap game for Tampa Bay. I could see them getting kind of complacent, being like, "Oh, it's just Chicago." Like they're pretty much done, and taking an embarrassing loss.
Another thing too that I want to point out real quick, Patrick Kane is having a very underrated season right now. I don't feel like a lot of people are giving him the attention that he deserves. Right now, he has 38 points in 26 games. I mean, in my eyes, those could easily be MVP numbers. So, I mean, he's having a great year so far. And I feel like a lot of people aren't talking about it, probably because Chicago is in the middle of the pack right now. But, yeah, don't sleep on Patrick Kane. He's having quite the year.
All right.
One thing about the Blackhawks just in general is they're a team that, I mean, kind of like what Doug was mentioning, like they're a team that's going to, like, you really sleep on. And then the second you don't give them attention, they're just uppercut you right in the jaw, and then they're going to escape with the 2 points. Like that's why I love Chicago, because they're just so, like, what's the word I'm looking for? They're just like, I don't know, but what is it?
Underrated.
Yeah, they're underrated, and I don't know. I just love them.
All right, I like the looks on that one. Let's move ahead to game number 6. Almost through all these here. The next one is Nashville and Florida. And again, all of us pretty one-sided except for our puppy Ella, who's going after the Nashville Preds. She obviously cannot make a case for the Preds except bark. So anybody who wants to make a case for Florida and Nashville, go for it.
Nashville sucks. End of story.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
That was the case Scotty made last week for Dallas when Johnny wasn't here.
Pick me while I'm down. Oh, why not? Jeez.
Did you watch last week's show?
Anyway, but I have to agree with Peyton. It's an absolute dumpster fire over there in Nashville. I highly expect those guys to be sellers at the deadline. And unless something happens with it dramatically in the next couple of weeks, which I highly doubt. Well, but the Florida Panthers just seem to be doing everything right now. Sitting in third in the division right now, right behind Carolina and Tampa. It reminds me of the old NHL South Division, or Southeast Division, I should say. when they had to play Atlanta and with the Capitals in that division was what Nolan shaking his head go, oh, and he remembers those days. But yeah, it's going to be, and I think it's still going to be an interesting game, but I do believe we're just going to see the Panthers have a field day with the Preds.
Okay, I like the looks of that. Let's go ahead and skip ahead to the next game, and this one should be interesting too. Like I said, when I was talking to you guys ahead of time of the game, this isn't really one of the games that we're really highlighting as a team that says, okay, well, this is a really good game to watch. Not really, but I wanted to get some other teams in there that we didn't have because, like, as we talked about before, these teams are playing the same teams over and over and over with the new division. So I don't really want to repeat games as much as I can help it. So we're going to move ahead to the next one, and it's the LA Kings and the San Jose Sharks. Everyone going ahead and taking the LA Kings except for Johnny, who's out in the field by himself swimming with the Sharks. So, Johnny, do you think the Sharks are going to eat you, or you think they're going to eat the Kings?
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then. So you can't doubt them because they already have 9 wins. The Kings have 10, and the only reason and they're in the bottom of the divisions is the Anaheim Ducks have more overtime losses and the Kings do who wins right now. So
Okay.
the Sharks do wins.
Johnny, I think you can doubt the Sharks because they are last place in their division, and they don't seem to be getting out of there anytime soon. So, I mean,
well, I didn't say that we're going to get out of the basement of the division, and I'm not saying that. I'm just saying every now and then you see a bad team get a win. And how long were we doubting the Penguins back in 2006 before they finally got a win? And yet I'm going that far back into the history books.
So you're going to compare the 2021 Sharks to the 2007 Penguins. Is that what you're going to say to me?
2007 Penguins. I'm talking about the 2005. I have 2006 Penguins.
The ones with one before Malkin showed up. Is that what you're?
Yeah, that one.
Yes.
Got you.
The one that had Konstantin Koltsov as your starting left winger. Dougie's looking at me like, dude, you had.
Dougie's having a field day with this.
Last time I checked, Sid was the starting left winger, and Rico Fata played center for some reason, and that made like 7-year-old me want to have like a cardiac episode. So,
dude, that whole roster, or I could spend an hour talking about that roster, but we ain't got that kind of time.
Yeah, that is definitely true. We don't. All right, let's jump ahead to game 8. In this one. Also a little interesting. We're going with two Canadian teams, Winnipeg and Vancouver in this one. Only 2 people picking Vancouver. It's Peyton and our puppy Ella. So Peyton, you're pretty biased, but go ahead and make your case for the Vancouver Canucks here.
I just think that I think they're the better team. Oh, geez, sorry about that. I just think they're the better team than Winnipeg. I don't know. I just feel like Vancouver is just firing on all cylinders compared to the Jets. So I think that they're going to outmuscle them, and I think they're going to come away with 2 points.
What
I like it.
standings are you looking at, Peyton?
Huh?
What standings are you looking at right now?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I am a little biased because I do like Vancouver a lot, but I don't know. I'm not liking the Jets. I just don't like them. I don't like the Jets. I think that the Canucks, I don't know. I think that because you know more than any of us that when it comes to hockey, especially, sometimes it doesn't always matter about stats. It matters about what happens in the game. We know this very, very true. So I don't know. I mean, you literally just said it with the Kings and Sharks. Sharks are absolutely garbage, but you still pick the Sharks. So
They're
that's what I'm
in the bottom of the Shark Tank.
Well played,
boy.
Nolan. I'll give you that one.
All right. Well, that wraps up for our pick'ems. So let's go ahead and take a look at everything else we're going to go with, and we'll see who comes ahead at the end of the 2-week span. So our next show will follow the 24th. Our final game is on the 24th, so possibly a Thursday 25th. We'll see who's available. It might be the next week. We'll see. It all depends on who we can get on when. So let's go ahead and jump into our next segment here. This kind of wraps up our pick'ems, and before we go into the hometown team news, Doug's smiling because he knows exactly what's on the rundown next. and it is the trade rumors in the NHL. So I'll let you start, Doug, and then everybody else can join in and whatnot. I'm gonna keep it on gallery view, and let's have a ball with this. Doug, get us started.
Here we go.
All right. I put my iPad on gallery view too, so I can see all of you. But anyway, where's Jack Eichel gonna go, guys? Because
The Rangers.
that team is going to just nuke itself
The Rangers.
into oblivion. Like it's going to be Dylan Cousins, Casey Middlestat, and a bunch of random people by the time we're done with this.
Western.
But
Conference.
I like the Rangers for Jack. I really like the LA Kings. I like both those teams just from the like sole principle of they have enough prospect and draft pick capital that like the Rangers wouldn't end up losing Kakko or Lafreniere, and the Kings wouldn't end up losing Quentin Byfield. So like they could set themselves up for years if they pull off a Jack Eichel trade like this. And you know, my big thing is with Buffalo is there's so many guys that you'd want on your team, right? Like you have Taylor Hall, who's going to once again, I feel like we say this every year, he's going to be the highest coveted trade asset on the trade market for a rental player. And the big thing is going to be who's going to trade for him. Like I said before, I think that the Toronto Maple Leafs could easily swoop in and grab him because, once you're at the trade deadline, I know his cap hits $8 million, but once you're at the trade deadline, that cap hit only goes down to $4 million because you're already halfway through the season. So then they can retain more of that money, and the Maple Leafs can fit him in. Just do that. Have like a big, like, move that's probably not even needed, but like, still, it's like you have Joe Thornton playing with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner right now. Yeah, it's working, but it's also kind of weird. So like, why not do Hall, Matthews, Marner, and then run, Tavares with Nylander, and I think Zach Hyman on the second line, and then Joe Thornton goes down to the third line and centers, and everyone lives happily ever after. They probably go compete for a cup.
Okay, I like to look with that too.
Some other rumors I've been looking at. This came from Josh Yowie, or however you pronounce his name. He says that Marcus Patterson and Colton Sevier are probably the two Penguins most likely to be traded at the deadline, should they explore that option.
And that's interesting because they just, of course, got Colton Sevier from Florida. He just signed another contract with Marcus Patterson. But if Patterson were to get traded, any ideas any thoughts where he could end up?
I mean, I don't know where, but like, you got to think if you're going to trade Marcus Patterson on that nice 4-year deal or on that nice 5-year deal with how young he is, you're going to have to get a top 6 forward back. It's not just like a fringe top 6 forward. Like you need like a consistent 20 goal guy. And I'm not really sure how you're going to be able to get that, because like the only person off the top of my head that I can think about that they could target that would fulfill that need would be like Kyle Palmieri, but he's on an expiring contract, and trading a 5-year deal away for a rental seems like bad business to me. I've also thought about Victor Arvidsson, but Nashville's putting up putting Matthias Ekholm up on the trade block so that they don't have to protect or don't have to expose certain people in the expansion draft. So like, why would they take on Marcus Patterson and risk losing him to Seattle right after, making that trade and bringing him in? Another one is, I know San Jose is pretty bad, but I think like on a 1-for-1 basis, maybe a pick or two to balance it out on each side would be Patterson going to San Jose for Kevin LeBanc. That would be a solid top 6 winger option, top 9 winger option. I don't really know. It's tough. I don't want to part with him though, just simply because of how good he is with John Marino and how good he makes Marino. If I said it last week, I think I'd be more apt to trade Dumoulin, but you know, all the thing that sucks about all of this is we're not even having this conversation right now if Jim Rutherford doesn't give us the ultimate parting gift by having this team be stuck with Mike Matheson. Like that was just a horrible trade in hindsight. I know Hornquist would probably not be performing as well as he is in Florida right now here, but I'd much rather have him than be stuck with Mike Matheson for the next 6 years of my life.
But Mike Matheson is playing a little bit better than he was to start with. You can give him that for sure.
I agree, but like we also got to think of it from this principle. Since POJ has emerged and he's been playing so well, you don't even need him. And I don't even think you needed him to begin with. So like just kind of puts them in a bad spot from like a long-term outlook perspective, because here's this guy who, yeah, he's okay at times, but there's times where he's just a complete train wreck. And you're stuck with just a absolute roller coaster meme of a hockey player on your roster. And it's just like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Are you going to pay Seattle to take him? Like, are you going to risk like having to give like a Nathan Legare or a Sam Poulin to Seattle to take Mike Matheson off your hands? I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm not sure. Any other trade rumors that we have before we get into Penguin news?
Just one more here for the Capitals and Coyotes fans in our meeting right now. Caps, I hear, are looking for a goaltender, and it seems like it could either be someone like Darcy Kemper or an Antti Ranta. So that might be another option that they explore as they head into the postseason.
Okay. Nolan, how you feel about that?
I don't feel too bad. We definitely could use probably I'd say number 2 goaltender. And don't get me wrong, Vanacek came in and did his thing, and he was strong. And, Samsonov here coming back still slowly from, being off that long due to the COVID list. I think just having, if we had Lundqvist or something at the moment, I think I'd feel okay. But Craig Anderson definitely is not the answer as your third goaltender right now. And, it's nice for him just to be there in case you need a backup, but he's not starter worthy in any way, shape, form. I noticed why Ottawa got rid of him so quickly.
Yeah, indeed.
Probably not quick enough.
They were struggling for a while, Craig Anderson.
Yes, they were. So.
All right. Any other trades before we jump into the Penguin news?
This might like lead into the Penguins, but I could honestly see Jari like getting out of here personally. I feel like the fans in Pittsburgh, including myself, are getting very impatient with Jari. He's been good. He's actually getting the start tonight against New York. But I don't know. I feel like I could see him in a different jersey by the time the season's over. I don't know. That's just something to keep an eye out on. Maybe even, I don't know. It would either be him or DeSmith. I think one of them's going to go, but I think it's going to be more like Jari than DeSmith.
Personally, I don't think any of them are a solid option. I think you need to get somebody different completely. That's just me.
Yeah, well, another one, and I was looking at last night, and me and Doug were actually talking about this last night as well. The Penguins have been linking to 2 different trade partners, one being the Buffalo Sabres and the other one the Detroit Red Wings. And there's been a couple different names linked to them. I'm going to just pick with Buffalo if Doug wants to jump it. And I know he probably has a couple of comments as well. They're looking at mostly centers there in Buffalo. In this case, bringing in Eric Staal was a possibility. He as another center. Another name that was linked was former Penguin Riley Sheahan. For me personally, that train has already left the station on that one. With Sheahan, even though he's having a decent season, and I just don't think he's the fit that Pittsburgh's looking for.
He's having a decent season in Buffalo.
Yeah,
doesn't mean he'll have a decent season here at all.
You're right.
I'd let my true thoughts about Riley Sheahan be known, but we can't swear on here. So
I was gonna say, hey, we don't.
But anyway,
button here, Doug.
But anyway, Eric Staal, boys, I like this a lot. because here's the thing. You need a good third line center. He's still a guy who produces at a second line rate in the proper situation. Now, given his numbers have taken a bit of a tank since coming to Buffalo, the same thing happened with Jeff Skinner. But the big thing that excites me about this as a potential acquisition is the chemistry that Eric Staal has with Jason Zucker. In the 2017-2018 season, Eric Staal and Jason Zucker played on a line together. Eric scored 42 goals while Jason Zucker scored 33. I know it wouldn't be the same principle, but could you imagine forming your next your next big third line with those two and potentially, I don't know, just Sperry Kapanen or maybe another trade acquisition. I know Johnny brought up the idea of Detroit, and the nice thing about Detroit is they have Bobby Ryan, and I wouldn't mind bringing in Bobby Ryan because he's one of those guys. He's really, really good at holding on to the puck in the offensive zone, and I feel like the Penguins don't really have that. So I think he could be a very solid top 9 option. Maybe end up playing with Sid and forcing Kapanen down into a third line role. But my big thing is I think whenever Jason Zucker is healthy, I think he needs to be very much mentally prepared to play third line minutes, just due to the fact that Jared McCann looks so good with Gino, and you got to stick with what's working. I mean, sticking with what's working is what got him back-to-back cups. I mean, we were doing games with Oscar Sundquist playing with Sidney Crosby, for God's sake. It's nothing crazy. Everything's going to be a little out of the ordinary once you get into the playoffs because you got to do what you need to do to win.
Awesome. That sounds good. All right. Any other let's talk about the trades and whatnot? I know we talked about a little bit about the Penguins there. Any other Penguin news we want to get into here before we close it out?
Sullivan he came out to say, Peyton already said Jari is getting the start today. Nah, looks like Ricola is still going to be out for a while.
And Jared McCann is day to day.
Is Zucker back?
Oh, Zucker's
IR,
not
right?
going to be back for a while.
Yeah.
I don't think that we're going to see him again until probably late April, early May. It was that bad of an injury.
Yeah.
So, and they moved him over to LTIR, which is cool. They're going to get cap relief, but it also sucks because they can't accrue cap space whenever you have players on LTIR.
Correct. Yeah.
What happened to him? How did he get injured?
He got tied up in the corner, and he got his skates tied up a little bit, and his ankle went. It honestly, it made me sick in the stomach. It was bad.
If you're a fan of hockey, you want to watch the Pens tonight, 6 p.m. They take on the Rangers. I will be at that game. It's nice to kind of get back into the swing of things and go to a game, even with the COVID stuff going on. 2,500 fans allowed at the arena, center ice. So I'm looking forward to watching a game live for the first time in I don't even know how long. Of course, I went to a football game, but it's not hockey. Enjoyed that football game. That was really fun. If you guys remember that, when we did Forechecking, Fantasy Football Freak Show. I was at that Browns game versus the Colts. But this game a little bit different in hockey, so it'll be fun to watch the Pens in action again, for sure. I can tell you the tickets aren't cheap, guys, and people are fighting you for them.
No, it's pretty ridiculous. My girlfriend said she wanted to go, but I told her that I'm probably holding out until playoffs and we get better in terms of capacity, because I imagine they'll be able to do much higher level capacity going into May and June.
I'm sure, yeah.
Just with where we're at in the state of PA.
And I mean, the way the trend is going around the country, things are starting to open up more. I mean, for crying out loud, West Virginia just went and full on opening everything up this week. So
no masks and all, same as Texas, I know.
Yeah, pretty much. That's how it is all the way down to South Carolina from here.
Well, we shall see. I'll see what happens here and everything. But with that, we'll wrap up the show, guys. It's been a great one. Like I said, if you're into hockey, you want to watch the Pens tonight, 6 p.m. versus the Rangers. And in about 2 weeks' time, check back with us for another show. We'll give you updates on all of our standings, our pick'ems, and more on the NHL. See if any of those trades we talk about happened. The deadline will come up here very, very soon, at the beginning of April, I believe. So we'll talk about that here coming up more and more as weeks go on. But for now, thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you in about 2 weeks' time right here again on CUTV and CUTV Sports 1. On behalf of myself, TK, Doug, Johnny, Scotty, Nolan, and Peyton, thank you guys, and we will see you next time right here. Have a good one, guys.